Imagine you're about a week away from adding an addition to your house when a neighbor comes up to you and suggests you might want to check your covenant to make sure that you're not violating any of the restrictions in the neighborhood association. You can't find your covenant. You can't seem to find someone else who has a copy of it. How do you get that information quickly? Well, that's one situation that's addressed by something new in the Allen County Recorder's Office. And with us now is John McGauley, the Allen County Recorder, to tell us a little bit about the Resource Center. John, first of all, how did you come up with the idea for this?
This is something that is one of the little-known assets that you find in this office. When I started talking about why I wanted to be a recorder a few years ago, this was one of the projects that was really at the top of my mind, because so many times you see in so many neighborhoods little bitty misunderstandings about, can you build that fence, can you build that shed, blossom into terribly divisive and sometimes costly disagreements between neighbors. And that's one of the things we have here in this office. This is where neighborhood association covenants reside. Very few people know that. When it comes time to making that decision about whether I want to make this improvement or this addition, people don't know where even to find that information. And that's what made us decide to take on the Neighborhood Resource Center, is to put something out there, make it easy to find, that people don't even know where to start looking for in a lot of occasions.
And the center is located online,
correct,
so people can log in to find it. What kind of information can they find?
Obviously, the keynote part of this is neighborhood covenants, searchable by subdivision name, even just a partial name. But there's also a few tools on there to make it easier for you to just define that, even that subdivision name. We have downloadable high-resolution maps by quadrant of the county that once you zoom in and zoom in, zoom in, you can find your subdivision name right down to the section number of your subdivision. And why do we do that? Most people know where they live. In a lot of occasions, subdivision names and neighborhood association names are not identical. So it can be tough to find your covenants if you don't know what your subdivision name is. We also have city and county neighborhood contact information, meeting times and dates, also some other informative resources there.
Was this a costly endeavor for your office to have to undertake?
It initially started out that way. When we first put out the bids to figure out how we do this project, the prices were astronomical. We came in at well over $100,000 to start this project. So we kind of sat back and thought about how do we do this. We eventually wound up having to make some other technological improvements in our office to meet new state guidelines about social security numbers and other sensitive information. And we had an opportunity there to build this on as an addition to projects we were already going to have to do, already had budgeted for, wound up spending about $6,500.
Okay. Well, let's take a look. Give us a little example of how this works.
Well, we've got the...
Well, first of all, folks will find this where? When they want to log in, first of all, to locate this.
The easiest way to find this is www.allencountyrecorder.us/neighborhoods. Or you can just go to allencountyrecorder.us, and there is a button right on the front page that will take you to the Neighborhood Resource Center.
And we'll see it.
And we've got the front page of the Neighborhood Resource Center already queued up here for you to see. You can see, like I said, if you just get to the front page of our site, there's a button right there that will take you directly to the Neighborhood Resource Center. Let's start out by looking for covenants.
Okay.
Right here on the front page of the Resource Center is a link that just says Search Restrictive Covenants Online.
Okay.
Click on that.
An important distinction you mentioned is that you need the subdivision name.
Correct.
Not necessarily the neighborhood association
That's
name.
right.
They could be two different things.
You can have just the subdivision name or even a partial name. If you don't know what section you live in of your subdivision, just the name will get it. Now, the beginning of the search process is just a little bit of text that tells you what we're trying to do and gives you some tips on how to search. Click through that, and look how simple this is.
Mm-hmm.
We don't give people a lot of confusing information, a lot of confusing options. All this is a neighborhood name, subdivision name search function. I'll start by typing in mine. I live in I believe it's section 3 or 4 of Kensington Downs East. So I don't know what section I live in, say. I'm just going to search for Kensington Downs. I click on search, and then it brings me up a list of everything that it found under that subdivision name.
Okay.
We have this set up to search every different document type that you might need to look in to find a restrictive covenant. Sometimes you might find something that's not one because it's included in that search group, but you'll find your restrictive covenants if there are any there.
Okay.
Now let's say that I found I found this list and maybe I'm in section 1 of Kensington Downs. Here's a restrictive covenant. All I have to do in order to pull that up is to bring my cursor over that listing in the search return, click on it. There you come to a brief little window that gives you a little bit of information, the recording number in case you want to come in here and get a copy for some reason, and a link that says View Image. Click on that, and it'll start to pull that up, and you see this came up pretty quick.
Right.
In some cases, that won't be the case because these are very, very large documents. In some cases, restrictive covenants are contained as part of a plat, the original drawing of the lots in the neighborhood. Those can be very, very large. This came up right away. We make this fairly easy by generating PDF files of these documents as you retrieve them. So anybody that's got Adobe Acrobat Reader on their computer can use this system.
And you can print it out right there.
Exactly.
Without having to come down to your office, the city county building, but someone who lives quite a distance out in the county, that saves them a long trip in.
You used to have to come downtown to the city county building between 8 and 4:30 or 8 and 5 since July. Pay $1 a page to get a copy of this. But the number of people that need this versus the revenue that this brought in really made the argument to put these out there. This is downloadable, viewable, printable. You can save this to your computer, and there is no charge.
Okay.
Notice there was nothing here that asked for your credit card number when we started the process.
What are some of the other things that folks can search
Absolutely.
at this Neighborhood Resource Center?
Like we said earlier, there are downloadable quadrant maps of the county. We'll pull up the one that I live in again. Now you'll see this, when you first pull it up, these are fairly big files, again, 4 or 5 meg. It doesn't look like much, but when you start to zoom into these, you can see that you're getting down to a really useful layer of detail that you can tell, even down to the section level, because there are different covenants in a lot of cases for different sections of the neighborhood.
And you also have information dealing with contact
Correct.
Information for neighborhood associations in both the city of Fort Wayne and Allen County.
That's right. We've just made it easy here. We put links up to the Allen County Neighborhoods Association page, as well as the City of Fort Wayne's neighborhood page. Both of these have a lot of contact information, how to find your neighborhood association president, in many cases meeting dates, other informative resources, presentations that are given at meetings. Those are all out here available. We're trying to make a one-stop shop for neighborhoods.
I would say you've accomplished that. John, thank you for your time. We appreciate you explaining it, and hope everyone has a chance to go by the website, check out the Neighborhood Resource Center. Again, the address for that is Allen County Recorder, all one word, .us.